Good morning, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101. I'm your host, Ross World. And today, I'm just going to have a discussion about what's going on in the 2020 COVID-19 race protests and riots. We understand that this is about race. Every riot, every protest that's going on currently is about race, unfortunately. Good morning, Sweet Black 1982. Now, the picture that is shown in the background, this is Detroit in 1943, where a group of Caucasian gentlemen tries to, as you see, forcefully take this black man off the bus. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been going on for centuries, okay? This has been going on for generations. This has been going on for decades. We have been under the boot, under the heel of our oppressors in majority of the countries around the world, simply because of the color of our skin. Simply because the color of our skin. I see a lot of Black politicians coming out, criminalizing those who are rioting and looting and destroying and burning down businesses. I urge you guys to go on Tanachi, which is a African-based channel, Tanachi, and watch Tamika Mallory's small snippet speech, because there was a powerful quote that someone posted on I believe it was Facebook or YouTube. Don't quote me, but I have the quote here. Give me 1 second. And Tommy Lauren made a comment. And there's some controversy of Tommy Lauren being president or racist, however you want to call it. I don't know what she is, but she's not the brightest person I've ever heard speak when it comes to race insensitivities and sensitivities. Tommy Lauren says, how does looting, rioting, and destroying your own, in capital letters, community bring justice for anyone? Then the responder, her tag name is, I believe it's Aisha or Aisha, but it's spelled Ayesha. And I believe this is on Twitter. She said, I don't know, but they tried peacefully kneeling and y'all had a problem with that too. I'm gonna read it again, put it all together and put it into perspective so we can deconstruct this. How does looting, going into stores, stealing, destroying property, rioting, okay, burning buildings, breaking out windows, ripping down things, destroying cars, etc., and destroying your own community bring justice for anyone? And the response was, I don't know, but they tried, right? She's kind of a spectator that's watching everything that's going on. She said they tried peacefully kneeling and y'all had a problem with that too. See, it's all about money, ladies and gentlemen. Believe it or not, it's all about money. See, when we peacefully protest as a people, not Black, Asian, but all as a people, because we understand like the protesting and rioting that's happening in Minnesota and St. Paul, in Minneapolis, the population of Black people is only around 7 to 10%. And if you look at the cameras, it's majority white people, right? Because they outnumber us. But are some of them, because I can't believe that all of them are there just for racial inequality, racial injustice, police brutality, white supremacy, etc. Some of this having a good time. Some of them are drunk. Some of them are high. Even the Blacks, like everybody, right? Some people just want free stuff. But I would like to believe the majority of them initially going to protest about this inequality and injustice. But what happens when we peacefully protest? See, this is my point of view. We peacefully protest, but nothing happens. Okay, people will come out and say how sorry they are, condolences to the family, but time after time, another Black person dies. Another Black person dies. And I think we're not understanding or the lineage. We're not understanding the history. Your ancestors, the European ancestors, decimated the Native American population, killed them off, murdered them, gave them diseases, took their land, then went to Africa and robbed Africa of their people. Now, granted, I know the history books, some of us actually was traded, but believe it or not, a lot of us was forcibly removed. Our ancestors were forcibly removed from their home and taken months on sea, which a lot of us died, our ancestors. And now we're here and we have a stake in this country. We majority built this country. Now you can contribute the Chinese from building some of the railroad. You can contribute some of the brick and mortar and some of the buildings that the Irish and Scottish made, that the immigrants from there. But for majority of this country, we have built this country to be the most powerful nation in the world. At one time, America was supplying the world with over 90% of its cotton. And all the Southern landowners who had slaves was absolutely, tremendously wealthy. See, what we don't understand is that you have to go back and look in time and look at a decade, 10 years, 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, and give me a decade where Black people in America had equality, had civil rights, who had justice. See, the reason why this has led to looting, rioting, burning down businesses, breaking off windows, tearing down poles is because when we peacefully protest, nothing happens. Well, Roswell, are you supporting those who are breaking in buildings and destroying businesses? No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, I understand. I understand. I have been part of protests peacefully, but when I see things start to get out of hand, I get out of Dodge because I don't want to be swept up in that mess. But at the same time, I do understand, I comprehend the environment of, okay, we protest, we protest, we protest. The family cries, the family mourns, the family cries, the family mourns. Nothing happens. Okay, that one particular cop gets in jail or they get off, or those particular, because here's the thing, even if those rest of those 3 cops that assisted that one cop in killing George Floyd, even if they get prosecuted for accessory to murder, what people don't understand is it continues to happen around the nation, in states, in cities, and in towns where police look at African-American people are less than human. They don't believe we're human, even though we walk, we talk, we got fingers, we got eyes, we got nose, we got mouth. We have the same body parts, brains, everything is, anatomy is the same other than our features and the color of our skin. The question is, why are we so victimized? See, in Black neighborhoods, I'm from Washington, D.C. I grew up in Southeast Washington, D.C. In Southeast Washington, D.C., well, D.C. all in general, but Southeast was known growing up as one of the worst neighborhoods to grow up in. And we didn't call on the police to protect and serve because we know they didn't do that. And guess what? They even had Black cops. But when you are part of that affiliation, once you put on that badge, something happens. I don't know what it is, but here's the thing. We wasn't being protected and we was not served. We were over-policed and we were under-policed. See, when crimes happened and we called out, they would hardly come. Sometimes they didn't even come or they came very late. But when they wanted to exercise a warrant or do a raid on a drug house, you see the whole entire police department out there. This is the issue. It's not just the police, ladies and gentlemen. It's not. It's the racial inequalities across the US. Let me tell you how bad this is. So we don't just point out Caucasians because, again, it's not all white people. I have white friends, it's not all white people, right? But some people may believe that there's a little racism in every white person. And I would like to believe there's some prejudice in all Black people. And the reason why we understand that Black people systematically can't be racist because we don't hold power on a large scale. Like I can do a racial act, but I can't be racist. Just because I say something that may seem racist to you, that doesn't make me a racist, because we have to understand the power in the word racist. See, I can go apply for a home and I can not get the loan because of the neighborhood. They don't want me to live in that neighborhood because they have the power to box me out of that neighborhood. I can go into a bank with good credit. My credit score is 735. My debt to income ratio, my income is higher than my debt. I can probably get a $500,000 loan. But they look at me and it's like, oh, you want to start a business. Somehow the computations, the data doesn't add up for me to get a loan. They can systematically hold you back from obtaining wealth. Racism. A racist act is totally different. See, if I'm a CEO or I'm a manager or a supervisor and I don't hire any white people, that's a racist act. Right? Because systematically, Black people do not own enough businesses, do not own enough land to box any other race out of anything. But again, let's not just point the spotlight on Caucasians, because Asians come to this country and are too racist against Black people. Let me tell you like this. Let me tell you like this so you totally understand what I'm talking about. You can go into a hair salon shop or a shop that sells hair products, and majority of these shops, especially in my old neighborhoods, are owned by Asians, mostly Korean. And if you look up YouTube videos about racial disparities, Asians following Black people around stores when it comes to hair shops. Did you see the one video that 3 or 4 Asian gentlemen, I believe they were either Chinese or Korean, that they were literally assaulting a Black woman because they thought she sold something and she didn't. But this is not the only offense. This is not the only incident. This has occurred over and over again. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We still go in and we purchase products out of those stores. This is why I say when people don't respect your dollar, when people don't respect your money, when people don't respect you because of your race, do not go in and buy their products. See, they set up shops in low income areas because the property is low to purchase, is not a lot to buy. They purchase these properties and then they sell to those people in those communities. Instead of those people buying property, putting their money together and building shops to sell to their own people so they keep their own economy within their neighborhood. We're talking about Black people. We don't do that because we have been manipulated. We have been brainwashed to hate ourselves. I'm gonna read some of your notes. I see some trolls in the room. Bobby, yesterday they're about to institute a full lockdown. Yes, they are. Cortex Zero, I'm white. Let it be known, I do not, will I ever hate Black people. Well, thank you, Cortex. I appreciate that. And no, when I hate white people, I just hate those people, regardless of race, regardless of gender, who allow, who implement racism and racist act, and especially white supremacists. Bobby Yeck says, I think the government's going to deploy the full might of the military internally to deal with this pretty soon, because they're going to be looked at as losing control, but I do stand with the Black people. Okay, well, thank you. And then we got a troll in the room, and I'm not going to address that. Bobby Yeck says, I believe in the death penalty too. Then the troll says, Yet Asians work harder than you people seem. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not going to read none of his messaging anymore because that's what people do. All right. Daniel Scott says Koreans run the weave industry. Yes, they do. And then Bobby X says the cyber police are going to be charging people for what they say on the internet too, especially if it's racially charged. Indeed, they will. See, my thing is not to incite violence. My ploy is to incite understanding why things are occurring. Because I know, and I'm gonna say this, you're gonna hear me say it. If you look at my channel, you subscribe to my channel, you're gonna hear it more and more again. It's all about money. It's all about money. Yes, you can absolutely hate somebody because of their skin color, but why? Look at the way that African Americans, that Black people, that Africans came to this country, and their ancestors. I'm sorry, excuse me, us became African Americans because of greed, because of wealth, because of money. Right? Secondly, let's look at today. When people peacefully protest, have you really seen any large legislation to stop inequality, injustice, police brutality on a nationwide scale? Have you seen it? Me personally, I have not seen it. I don't agree with the rioting and looting, but I understand it. I understand it. I charge you guys to go out and look at Tamika Mallory's, I think it was about a 2-minute speech, and I saw that on Tunachi. That's a channel on YouTube. I don't know how to spell it correctly, but if you type in N-A-C-H-E-K-I, I believe that you will find it. And it's a very powerful speech because I agree with a lot she has to say. I do. Because we have been through this time and time again. See, the picture in the background, I could have popped up any picture. I could have popped up pictures of Blacks peacefully protesting where the racist cops in 1960 was using fire hoses. One guy was in a chokehold by the police. This is nothing new for our people. This is his history repeating itself all over again. So I understand. And if you notice, it's just not happening in Minneapolis. It's happening in Georgia. It's happening in Utah. It's happening in California. It's happening in Michigan. It's happening in major cities around the world because that's where the majority of the Black people are. And that's where the inequality and injustice and brutality from one particular race, which are Caucasians, occur on a daily basis. Now, there was another story I don't know you guys are familiar with, but it hit nationwide news. Unfortunately, I think his last name was Lewis or his first name was Lewis, but I don't know the white gentleman's name. But there was an fender bender. The Black guy ran into, I think they was in bumper to bumper traffic. Some of these details may not be exact, but the moral of the story, the hardcore, the core of the story is true. I'm trying to get my words together. I'm kind of like charged up right now, but I'm trying to calm myself down. Sometimes I can get really get going. But anyway, so the Black gentleman ran into the white gentleman bumper to bumper traffic. So it wasn't really a hard hit. They both got out. They was about to exchange information, but somehow an argument occurred. And the Black guy said that, hey, I'm GD. And the white guy assumed that that was a game. So he said that he feared for his life. Now, I feared for my life before. And anytime I fear for my life, what do? You run. It's called fight or flight. When you're boxed into a corner, it's natural, psychological, it's natural. When you're boxed into the corner, you either curl up or you fight your way out. Okay, they was on the street, okay, on a road. He could have got his tag number. I'm fearful for my life. Get back in my car, because the Black guy did not approach him violently or with his hands or anything. Okay, this is an account from eyewitnesses, white eyewitnesses. The white guy went back to his car, grabbed his gun, pointed at the guy and said that the guy looked as though he was reaching for something and shot him. What about the black guy who got shot in his own apartment? The white female police officer said, I thought there was a burglar in my apartment. The door was open. I thought I was going to my apartment, and killed the black guy in his own apartment. What about the young 26-year-old MET worker that got killed this month as well, where police was exercising a warrant on the wrong street in the wrong place? And they said police, the boyfriend said they didn't. He fired shots, they fired shots, she dies. Okay, hold up. I'm not saying white people or Asian people or any other people that the police don't kill them too. I'm not saying that. First of all, you don't really hear stories like that, but I'm pretty sure it has happened, but not at the same rate, not at the same ratio, not at the same percentage as African-American people. Why is that? Why is that? Was it yesterday? I was in a rich neighborhood yesterday. I didn't see not one police. I didn't see not one police. Because we understand that rich neighborhoods anywhere in America are majority white, and they're not over-policed. Okay? But when you say a neighborhood, a community is over-policed, we're talking about police are just roaming around the neighborhood looking for stuff to spur up, or antagonizing, okay, or inciting or provoking situations with the citizens of that neighborhood. They're the starting mess. I remember this chilling on the corner, because that's what, I don't know what it is. That's what young black kids do. I did it too. I was just chilling on the corner with my boys. We weren't doing that. We weren't smoking weed. We wasn't drinking. We was just shooting the stuff, okay? We was just talking trash. We were joning. We were bragging. We was just doing everything, okay? In DC, we'll say welling, meaning we're hyping up stories that probably never happened, but we just welling. We just chilling. Police jumps out. What y'all doing? We're doing nothing. Oh, there's no soliciting right here. This is a house, or this is a corner store that's locked. Says no soliciting. We're not soliciting. Do you know the definition of soliciting? You know, you go in people's houses, they got no soliciting. I mean, don't come up and try to sell me nothing. This is what we go through as a people. But see, when you have certain African Americans who align with their white counterparts because they haven't experienced racial equalities, or they forgot the racial inequalities that they have seen in a, come on, man. Listen, if you're not going to help the masses of black people, then shut up. Don't speak out against. I'm not saying don't speak out against riots and looting, but no, don't speak out against, like, these things are not happening because they're black. Don't think that at all. I just don't get it. I just don't get it, because if I don't have anything to say to help my race, when I plainly see that they're being discriminated upon simply by the color of their skin. Do you guys know how powerful that is? This, I don't care what race you are watching this. Do you know how powerful it is to depict, to treat, to handle, to discriminate, to prevent a people, a human being, a Homo sapien, simply because they are of a different color, because their skin has more melanin than yours. That's the only thing. And you would like to say, well, what about Indian people? Why don't they mess with Indian people. I'm talking about people from India, because there's some Indian people who are darker than African Americans. I mean, probably not darker than me, but you know what I mean. Like, African Americans. Why won't they bother them? They know where we live. They know where we work. They know where we hang out. See, Indian people, they live in their own neighborhoods. When they come here, they tell all their people, they say, hey, we're living in this neighborhood, because it's protection when you live with your own. There's understanding when you live with your own. And it's also destruction, chaos, and discrimination when you live on your own, when you're Black in America. See, someone said, Tommy Lawrence said, why would you burn, loot your own neighborhood? Now, as you can tell on TV, again, I'll say it again, the majority of these people are Caucasian. And what Minneapolis is saying, that majority of these people are from out of state. They saying that only 20% of these people are from Minneapolis or Minnesota or St. Paul. But my point is, downtown is not my community. You may say, oh, that's part of your city, but downtown is not my community. My community in Southeast DC, okay, was not downtown. It was in the hood. It was in the ghetto. Downtown was 20, 30 minutes away. And why would you go downtown? The only time I saw my people go downtown was for 2 or 3 reasons. For the shelter, because that's what the shelter was, downtown. It was across the street from the court building. That was across the street from from the welfare line, where you got your powdered milk, your powdered eggs, and your farina, not cream of wheat. Close, but not the same thing. That's what we need to understand. And our Caucasian, Asian brothers and sisters, those who are not racist, those who try to understand the struggle that Black people go through, we have to educate them. See, I don't believe in hating an entire race, because maybe 20% of the race is very prejudiced or very racist, because we're all stereotypical. Okay, I'm stereotypical of other races. I'm stereotypical of other Black people. So we're all stereotypical, but through education, through community, through talking, going out, and you have those deep, dark discussions to break the racial divide. That is what helps a people to unite. See, I love the fact when I look, and I will hope that the Caucasians who are marching with Black people don't have a hidden agenda, and that all of this is occurring because they're simply tired of the government systems that are in place. The old slave chasers, called the police, the old slave chasers, they're getting tired of senseless people, not just Black people, but senseless people, because again, let's take away the color, we're people. Black people are people. So everybody's like, guess what? You mean to tell me that these police, that a certain population and percentage of white people are being racist, are killing Black people because of the color of their skin? We have to do something about this, because I don't agree. Those are the white people I walk with. Those are the white people I stand for. But here's the thing. If you have a different agenda other than helping Black people to get equality and justice, then I'm not talking to you, and you can get the hell off. Let me read some of your notes if you have any. Okay, Bobby X says, much respect to you, the only equalizer in business, because business don't discriminate based on race or gender. Daniel Scott says, I have family friends that lost Black businesses during the 1962 Buffalo riots. That's the first time I heard of that, and I know a lot about Black history. I'm sorry to hear that, brother. The 1962 Buffalo riots. I do believe I know that one. At the time, they were considered wealthy. Generations later, they are living in low-income neighborhood projectiles. And then Bobby said, I definitely overstand you. This is a real issue. And my thing is about this. Now, if you go back and you read history about all the riots, race protests that ended up in riots, Black people were doing a lot better in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. But somehow, some way, somehow, some way. I'm just kidding with you guys. White supremacists and racists destroyed neighborhoods, which actually destroyed Black economies that they were building, because we were doing better than the adjacent towns and cities, not the entire US, but we were doing better. Because we were exchanging dollars within our community. What we were doing, we were taking white dollars, because we had to build some way. You have to build some way, because when they released the slaves from slavery, some of them were still working the same plantation. Some of them actually created businesses in Black neighborhoods, but we were taking white dollars, putting them into the Black community, and they were circling the Black community, and they wasn't going to the white community, because we had grocery stores, we have carpenters, we had electricians, we had plumbers, we had bankers, etc. So the money stayed in the Black community. So the communities were doing better. Houses were getting bigger. The cities were increasing in size. Businesses were growing. And that's when you look at the entire US. We like to look at Tulsa, Oklahoma as the Black Wall Street, but there were plenty of many Black Wall Streets. Do we understand what I'm talking about? There were many of them. And somehow, some way, white supremacists and racist people figured out a way, through force, through manipulation, through policies and business tactics, to destroy what our ancestors and some of your grandfather, great-grandfather, great-grandmother has built. They figure out a way to destroy it in some form or matter, because they don't want us to have nothing in this country. I keep telling you, we are fighting for citizenship. That's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for citizenship, because we need to understand that we are residents of this country. Because if you were a citizen, you would not need civil rights. If you was a citizen, you wouldn't need affirmative action. You would simply fall under jurisdiction and the law of the Constitution of America, that all men and women are created equally. But they had to come up with some amendments, right? Which is called the Black Reconstruction, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. Why would you have to make more amendments if everybody's a citizen and everybody's treated equally under the law? That's because they know that's a lie. So they had to come up with more laws. But let me ask you this. Has more laws helped us? Has more bills helped Black people? Has more legislation helped Black people? And see, people from other countries, they come here and they say, well, I came here with nothing. And some of you say that the government gave me stipend, but the government didn't give me a stipend. I did this, I worked this, I did this, I did this. What they don't understand is, when you are a foreigner, you can still be Black, but when you're African-American, there's an invisible gate. There's an invisible barrier that they stop you before you enter. They say, boom, do not enter. Do not enter. Simply because of the color of your skin and your nationality. See, Indians can come here, they can say that. Koreans can come here, they can say that. Chinese can come here and they say that. And they don't believe that we contribute. The point is, we can't contribute because systematically the government doesn't allow us. Oh, yeah. You'll see onesies and twosies. We'll let a few of you through. So when you go to the world court, you can say that we're racist because we let a couple of you actually be prosperous and be profitable. But for the masses, and you know what? This goes much deeper than what people see. What people also don't see is the psychological manipulation that Black people go through as well. We go through to hate ourselves. I remember I was in my mid-20s and I was back home in DC, and I went on a date with this Black girl. She was darker than me. I know she was dark, right? Which I love. I don't care about the shades of color of people. Whatever. I'm just making a point here. Okay, I'm just making a point while I'm talking about the shade of her darkness, of her Blackness. We was going on a date, and I think we were walking to a restaurant. And we were talking about something. I forgot the gist of the conversation. But she said, you're the first Black guy I ever dated. I said, huh? She said, yeah, because you know how they are. What? You know how who are? You know how Black men are. They're like this, they're like that. I'm like, wait a minute. So you're saying you was only dating white guys? Yeah, well, oh, okay. So you grew up in a white neighborhood. Okay, I get that. Like, I mean, you as a teenage person, I can understand you're dating the people you go to school with. I got that, right? I could say, well, you could have went to a Black neighborhood and dated somebody. It's outside of your neighborhood. I got it. But then as you get older and you start to run into different people, you mean to tell me you never dated your own kind because of the stereotype that you have growing up in white America? You don't understand why Black people are the way they are? Are you freaking kidding me? That you believe that all Black men, all Black women are like that, except you because you grew up in a white neighborhood? You grew up in white suburban America? Are you freaking kidding me? Are you serious? This is what you believe? Do you know when she said that to me, I instantaneously got angry and mad. Yeah, I was an angry Black man that day. I said, oh, really? I walked away. She's like, where are you going? I don't even recall what I said. I just know that I was angry and I was mad because that's what I call inter-race racism or prejudice, however you want to call it. But that's what I called it at the time. Inter-race racism, when you're racist against your own people because of your lack of knowledge. Because this is how you divide a group of people. You have a certain mindset, you have a certain education, a knowledge base, and you say, well, I did it, then you can. And you're not understanding the surrounding factors of racial disparities of a people. And you're the same people, but you made it out. And you're not understanding the 360 construct of what's really going on for the masses. You were lucky. I am lucky. But all of us are not lucky. I understand that. My family is poor, right? Do they have the ability to pay their rent? Yes. Would most of them want a house? Yes. Would most of them want 2 cars? Yes. Would they love to take 2 to 3 vacations a year? Yes. Would they like to have 20 to 30,000 for the emergency fund? Yes. Do they have the ability to do that? Yes, in 80 years. Whereas though the white counterparts may take 20 years. You get what I'm talking about? That's because they may be qualified, they may be certified to have certain jobs, but sorry, our system is built on demographics. And according to the Census Bureau, African Americans are 13% of the population. We have 100 Blacks here. We've met our limit. They don't tell you that, ladies and gentlemen, but there's an algorithm because this organization is an equal opportunity employer. This is why. But see, if you're not a woke Black person, I hate to use that term, right? That was last year's and 2018's term, being woke. But if you're not woke and understand what's happening around you and because of your skin color, then you are lost. You are lost. Like my brother, Ben Carson, who's the HUD director, he is lost. He said the laborers that came from ships from Africa to America, he said laborers, like they were all, like they was indentured servants. I'm like, Ben Carson, you got a PhD. But what people don't understand, education doesn't give you consciousness. It doesn't wake you up. It doesn't give you consciousness about who you are, what you are, and where you come from. You just have education. You have a PhD, you are a doctor. That is what you have. You know medical procedures and practices, but you have nothing about being a conscious Black man in America because, again, you was the lucky ones. Lakeisha C says, and violence. D Nice says, what's up, brother? What's going on, D Nice? So this is my understanding of this. I'm gonna let it go. I employ everyone to peacefully protest, because when you start to loot and riot, burn down buildings, I'm not so much worried about the property. I'm worried about the loss of life. I'm worried about that the message could be misunderstood when this becomes history, because people are not going to have the same understanding, the same comprehension of this time. They say, wait a minute. Well, if the police killed George Floyd, then why are the people destroying the city? And then I hope in those history books, they say, well, law enforcement or the state government or the federal government has done nothing to make justice, equality for every people under the law. So again, for those who are going to go out and peacefully protest, I implore you not to do anything destructive, abide by the state and city laws, and get home safely. That way you can protest the next day. If you are in jail, you can't peacefully protest. If you are injured, you can't peacefully protest because now you have a misdemeanor or a felony on your record. So again, I don't care if buildings burn. I'm not saying you should do it, but I don't care if buildings burn. What I'm saying is peacefully, without the rioting, without the looting and destroying property, so you can get back home and peacefully protest again. But I do understand. I'm just that guy. I understand. Yeah, I felt it before, and like I told you, I went home. But I understand, but I'm telling you not to do it. And at the end of this, ladies and gentlemen, what I want you to understand and want you to know about what I'm getting at, the reason why, like the Atlanta mayor came out, she was very unpleased, looked like she has said that this actually disgraces the memory of George Floyd. I agree with her to a certain extent. And then I also agree with Tamika Mallory about what she said, why the businesses are being burned. And also what the lady on Twitter said about what in response to Tommy Lauren, because Tommy Lauren said, you know, how does this do anything? It's like when we peacefully protest, nothing happens. But I would hate for someone to lose their life by the police, because now Minneapolis is now have, I think they got another 1,000 to 2,000 National Guard troops for the protesting tonight. And they also have implemented a curfew. So I would tell you, if you are in any of these cities across the US that are protesting, please, please, please abide by the laws. And I know, they don't abide by their own laws. I got it. But this only gives them fuel to kill more of us justly. And we need more of us to continue the fight. Hope these words find you well. I apologize for stumbling. I apologize for not having all my thoughts together, because situations like this, they're very close to my heart. I grew up in a Black city. I understand being under the boot. I understand being racially profiled. I understand being on the corner, not doing anything, and the police are just simply trying to bother you, incite violence, you know, just make up miscellaneous charges, erroneous charges, etc. I understand. So it's close and near to my heart. And a lot of times I just can't get my head together because it bothers me so. But what I care about all people. I do. I don't like to see no one go through pain, but I love my Black people, and I don't want us to die just because we want to show protest because of the injustice of Black people across the world, not just America. You guys have a great day. And again, be safe out there. Learn money and be inspired, even in these times. I'm out.